I'm going to start with just a short devotional, something I want to read for you all, and then we're going to, again, we'll come back to singing, and we'll do some other things. But a passage comes from Isaiah chapter 52. And this isn't the theme for the year, just so if anybody's curious. We're not going into that till next week. I'll mention it a little bit, but we're really going to hit that next week. This is sort of something different. I want to pause before we move too much into 2022 and just reflect on what God has done and the faithfulness of God. So Isaiah 52, verse 6 through 10 says this. It says, I will reveal my name to my people. This is God talking, right? And he says this, I'm going to reveal my name to my people, and they will come to know its power. Does that sound like a promise? I'm going to reveal my name to my people, and they will come to know its power. Ooh, I don't know if you just think about that. That's not lightweight. You're going to know the power of my name. And he says, then at last they will recognize that I am the one who speaks to them. And I love this verse. You know it probably. It says, how beautiful on the mountains are the feet of the messengers who bring good news. The good news of peace and salvation. The news that the God of Israel reigns, that I'm the king. The watchmen shout and sing with joy, all right, good news with joy, for before their very eyes they see the Lord returning to Jerusalem. Let the ruins of Jerusalem break into joyful song, for the Lord has comforted his people. He has redeemed his people, Jerusalem. The Lord has demonstrated his holy power before the eyes of all the nations, and then all the ends of the earth will see the victory of our God. And I just love that passage because it talks about good news and great joy in all people. And that was really the thrust of our theme for last year. We felt like God was going to reveal that to us. And before we look ahead, I want to kind of make an altar here. I know this is a senior center, and there's bingo up on the wall, and there's some interesting artwork all around us. And I get that. I understand where we are. But an altar actually happens anywhere. You can make an altar at any point, any place, any time, anywhere. Because an altar simply is a symbol, a reminder of where God did something. That's what it is. An altar says, here at this place, God was active. And I recognized it. I saw it and I noticed. And there's this word, Samuel in the Old Testament, Samuel's the one that anointed David, right? He took a large stone and he placed it at a place where God had done something really incredible. He had saved in a dramatic way the people of Israel from an invading army. And he took this stone, he set it down, and he called it this funny word that's on the back of the Spanish church. If you've noticed, it was on the back most recently when we were there for Christmas Eve. It says Ebenezer. Isn't that a funny word, Ebenezer? Sounds like a name we know. I mean, the most common American understanding of that word is Scrooge. Absolutely. Do you know this word far preceded that? It's really interesting because Ebenezer actually means the stone of help, because it literally translates that up until this point, the Lord has helped us. Until this point, up to the step I'm stepping today, God's been with me. It's a testimony that God has never failed me. That's what that word means, that God has never failed, God has never left. So Dickens took that and made a name, and we've got other, that's been popularized in our language. But that word is rich with meaning about God's faithfulness up until this point that we stand today. God was here, and so this service is our Ebenezer. This moment here in a senior center with new floors. They got new floors here, and this is so we're not going to put a big stone in here. We're not going to do anything like that. But we've been through a lot in this past year. Everybody in various stories. Everybody's got a story of what this year has been for you. God has done all sorts of things in your life. There has been highs and lows. There's been good and bad. There's all sorts of things. But the reality is we stand here and recognize that up until this point, God's been with us. We're here. We've made it. We are still standing. God has brought us to this place. So I'd like to share just a few takeaways for me of what this year meant for me and what I've learned about joy, about the word joy. And so I'm going to give you an opportunity then after that to share your joy and what joy has meant for you. Simple little word, so much there. Here's a few things that I've found, and these are just, I'm really just shooting from the hip. I don't have a whole lot of notes. I'm just going to share what I've learned about joy. One, joy doesn't find you. You have to find it. That's the first thing I found about joy. Joy isn't like just come upon you. Oh, look, joy, right? Happiness finds you. But joy, you have to be intentional to go looking for it. Joy is always present. That's what I found about joy. It's always present, regardless of our circumstances. Joy isn't defined by circumstances, so joy is ever present. So if we're not feeling joy, it's not joy's fault. See, because joy is found, I found this year that joy was found in obedience, in doing things I didn't want to do, in walking through very difficult circumstances. There were times where I felt like I knew what I was supposed to do, and I didn't want to do it. I was afraid of the outcomes. I was afraid of what it was going to cost me, of what it was going to look like. I didn't know how it was going to play out. And let me tell you, on the other side now, having walked through some very difficult decisions and things through this year, I'm finding that there's joy that comes when you realize that was right. There's a peace, a deep joy that comes. One case in point, the Merrimans are not here. They are moving on. We miss them. I miss them already. I seriously, there's an absence over here, because they sit over here. So there's an absence over here. We believed, our families believed that was the right decision for them. That was a step of obedience. Didn't want to do it, but a step of obedience. And out of that, there is a joy today as we know that they're very excited for what God is calling them to. It's bittersweet. We're still getting together with them tomorrow, still hanging out, right? But there's a joy in knowing that I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I knew was right. And so joy is found in obedience. That's one thing I discovered this year. Something else I discovered is joy is found in rest. Yeah, can I get an amen? How many of you think, right? Yeah, I can go with that one. That was a hard one to learn. Seriously, that sabbatical we took, it seems like a very long time ago. But this past summer, we took 3 months off of our responsibilities here at the church just to rest and to renew and to let God just replenish inside us. And there was joy in not doing. So many times we think we have to work for joy. I think sometimes joy is just found in being still. Like there was joy in that. There's joy in accomplishment. We can find joy when we feel doing what was right, being obedient. But there's also joy in just being still. There was a deep joy that we found there, and I've craved it ever since. I'd like to go back. So let's just all do that. How about we all just take a sabbatical for this year? Everybody good with that? Let's just take a sabbatical year. Your jobs will keep paying you. You just don't have to show up. We'll just take a break, and it'll be great. Like seriously, we'd all be a whole lot better if we would do it. Joy is found in obedience. Joy is found in rest. Joy is found in deep places. Joy is rarely on the surface. It's one of the things I found about joy. To really get to true joy, to understanding the value of this sense of enduring joy. It's not just something superficial. It's not common. It's not easy to find. You've got to really go deep inside yourself, go deep inside your circumstances, go deep into the things of God to find who He is and where He is in those things. And you've got to dig and you've got to dive and go down. See, joy is found in deep places. It's never found on the surface. Joy is often found in very unexpected places. Very unexpected places. Joy is found in things you never would have thought you'd find joy. There have been times this past year where I go, there's no way I'm finding joy in this. Yet I have, because God is there. And where God is in His presence is fullness of joy. And so I'm just telling you, joy is found in very unexpected places. Joy is powerful. It heals. It comforts. It holds. It endures. I think so many people are chasing happiness. We look around and so many people are chasing happiness when joy is actually what they're looking for. And it's already available to them. Isn't that crazy? We're searching so eager for happiness when joy, which is better, is right here. So anyway, joy, when we stood back in January of 2021 and thought about what a year of good news, great joy, all people was going to look like, this is not what I thought the year would look like. Not what I thought joy would come to mean for me. But I've understood it to mean some very deep and powerful things. And so I'm going to open it up to you. I'd like to hear from you. And so here's the question. What are ways that you experienced the good news that brought great joy to all people this year, personally. Personal stories. I'm going to ask you to keep it brief. Okay, here are the rules, right? This is my dad's rules for testimonies and sharing your story, right? At 1, keep it short. Rule number 2, keep it short. No, that was just rule number 1. Keep it short. Have I said that? Yeah, okay. Give glory to God. Right? It's got to be something that honors God. Right? And 3, make it encouraging to everybody else. Right? Make it encourage. Think about it in a way that I'm going to give everybody else a gift with this, right? Like it's not like, hey, let me just tell you. And let's not get into detail about how the doctor had to cut your knee tendon and it snapped over here and then it was coming over. Right? We don't get into the nitty gritty, but it's simple. Where did you find joy, perhaps in unexpected places this year? Very simple. I'm just going to ask you to just raise your hand and say, hey, I'm willing to share. Because let me tell you, the reason we do services is not just to come. I know it's amazing. You don't just come to hear me sing. I bet you didn't expect that. You got joy from it. It was unexpected. But the reason we gather together is to strengthen each other. And when we tell our stories of what God has done in our life, it builds up all of us. So you may think it's not, you're being obedient to God when you share your story of where did you find joy this year. So I'm going to just open it up. So who wants to go first? Anybody? All right, Lacey. All right, that was quick. All right, I'm going to bring the mic out. We don't need the mic. Well, it's going to be recorded. So we want the people who are recording. So could you either come up or I can bring the blue mic. Here we go. Here we go. Anna, can you bring this to Lacey? Here we go. There you go. You can come on up. Absolutely, so people can see you. Come on up.
I didn't dress for this.
Oh, it's Sorry. Okay. It's all right. So.
Mine's going to be real short, okay?
She wins. She wins short.
That little boy right there was not supposed to be here. He's our second little miracle child. He was born in April of 2021. We were told we could not have children back when we got married, and we now have 2 beautiful, beautiful, smart, healthy baby boys. And God is the only way we have them, so there we go.
Thank you, Lacey. Let's give it. Thank you. And if you haven't seen, Mercer has probably some of the best cheeks in the room. Like that man, that little guy, he is awesome. Mercer Jack. Yeah, he's got. So who's next? Ryan. All right, hey, keep it in the family. Come on up, Ryan. Keep it in the family. Here we go. Yeah, that's it.
I have found joy through our small group or through our life branches group. It was one of those deals where Lacey kind of usually just did it, but I was always in the background, kind of just listening to what was going on. But it was really touching to get involved and really have the open conversations. Everyone kind of knows in our small groups, I keep it more than 100. I keep it 1,000. So I'm gonna tell you just like it is. So we've had just so many. I feel like just micro breakthroughs through the small groups, through the life groups. The other unexpected joy I found was playing basketball with Pastor Dan. I had no idea that I would have something. There might be happiness a little bit in there
it's
too.
both.
But there's definitely an amount of joy and camaraderie with the guys and playing around. So that was a hobby that I really needed and didn't know I needed. So I appreciate you inviting me. Anybody else that wants to play?
I'd like you to look at the size of Ryan and my size, and I had to cover him this week. I was feeling it for days. I'm still feeling it. I was so sore.
Too.
I was so sore.
It's a problem.
So thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, man. Honestly, our branches groups have been awesome, and it's been great to be in those. I think Shane is back there dying to come on up. Come on up. I saw her raise her hand the first time. Kept it in the family. Here we go. Anna's got a mic for you.
So I wanted to talk about the joy of failure. So back this past March, I was applying for scholarships for a seminary. So after need-based aid, I was looking for an additional 20% aid. And I was told, you're a great candidate. You just got to get this one interview and you are going to get that scholarship. The morning of the scholarship interview, my son spills milk all over my laptop. My pug runs away. We get him. And needless to say, I was totally discombobulated, and I screwed up my interview pretty badly. And so I didn't get the scholarship. And so for a week, I was just crying. I was inconsolable because I was doing what God wanted me to do. Like, I'm supposed to go to seminary, and I don't have the money to go. What am I supposed to do? I get a call a week later from somebody in our church who tells me that she felt like she was hearing for God and she wanted to come over my house and speak with me. And so I talk with her, and she's sitting with me at the kitchen table, and she says, I have this extra money, and I feel like God's telling me I need to give it to you for school, but I don't know why. How much do you need? And so I tell her the amount, and it's a big amount. And she says, it's done. And she writes me the check. And so I tell you this, not to clap and say, woohoo, she's got the money, this is great, because it's not about that. It's about the fact that God had to work on me in the failure. See, failure is something I've always struggled with. It is something when Dan was talking about in the deep parts of you, and the wanting to do the best and doing things on your own, and the feel that I had failed in the interview. And so the joy of failure is that you don't have to do it all. Because when you're truly following in God's footsteps and you're being obedient to God, God will be the one to provide. So whatever that looks like for you in failure, I can feel relief, I can feel joy in knowing that it's not up to me. Because I am going to fail, and I will fail, but God never fails.
That's awesome. Thank you, Shana.
Good job.
That's really good. Really good. I appreciate it. All right, somebody else. Where have you found joy this year? All right, Hugh, come on up.
Alright, so this is a little bit of a tough one. Over Corona, I guess I could say like I lost a lot of good people, but even at one point, kind of like lost my hope for Christianity. I'm gonna be real here, but within that, like I guess loss, part of me kept hope, and it led me to realize that God wasn't trying to make me realize what was taken from me, but what I had. And that was some really good friends to keep me together during that time, and just, help me out, keep me strong.
That's awesome, man.
I'm only shaking right now because I'm nervous.
That's all good. You're doing great. You're doing great, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Hugh. That's awesome. It's a good word, man. It's a good word. It's encouraging. God reminds us what we have. That's good stuff, Hugh. Thank you. All right, anybody else? Come on. I know there's all sorts of stories in here, what God has done in your life this year. So, who's next? I'm not going to let you off the hook. I was looking around, make you uncomfortable. All right, go
I got
for
the
it.
mic, might as well.
She's got a mic. Anyway.
As you guys know, Dan's dad passed away this year, and it was, of course, hard and all that stuff. And I don't want to get too into it because we'll all just start crying again. But one of the things and we were talking about it in our branches group because we had been talking about joy and suffering, and it was like so fresh when it was it was like right in the middle of it when we were talking about joy and suffering when all this was going down. And so we had some very deep and meaningful conversations, and of course the struggle that you have and stuff. But one of the things that I was able to say with complete clarity was that I got joy from the body of Christ who helped us through a time that was the worst, time of our family's lives, and so I feel like, the meals and the cards and the love and we got like 3 sets of wind chimes that we have in our backyard now. So meaningful, and there is joy in the body, and that's what we're here for. So I just want to thank everyone, especially who supported us in that time. It really was, it was the presence of God. When you can't feel the presence of God in those really dark times, that's what the body is for, and so we just really appreciate that. I want to make sure we throw that in there. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd echo it 100%. Yep, Linda, come on up. Yep.
We had an opportunity to have small group with your dad, and before that, we really didn't know him, and it was like just the best eye-opening and such wonderful teaching and brought us so close to God and to Jesus. And it was so wonderful. And then, I'm sorry, when, like, we really felt the loss also, you know. But I feel like my mom used to say, you know, when I was little, she would say, well, God needed him for their army. And that's the best army, the best man for the army. And I just feel like it was just such an honor and such a blessing to know him and to have the small group.
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody else? Just where did you find joy this year? How has God showed up in your life? Ashley, come on up.
I'm only doing this because Hugh did it, so now it's kind of inspired me.
Hey, way to go, man.
So this year I just like felt an overwhelming sense of like loss between friends and or like, you know, losing touch with people and family members and just like losing opportunity and stuff like that. I just felt really overwhelmed by loss and I felt like completely alone. But I feel like I've never felt God more present in my life than when I felt like I had no one else. So that's what I'm grateful for.
I don't think I have to preach after this. That was fantastic. Thank you, Ashley. That's powerful. Yeah. I just don't want to steal anybody's, opportunity here. Like, just to give God, glory for what he's done in your life this year, where you found joy. Anybody else want to share? If you feel like you should, then just come on up. Anybody? I'll be patient. That's okay, because we got to think about it. Some people process a little slower and take time to think about it. But it's important, I think, to give God glory and it's on everything that everybody has said. It's not a competition. It's just you telling your story. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you don't know who your story will impact and touch and who it'll make a difference for. So, one, God always gets glory, but two, it also encourages others. So, anybody else want to share something about where you found joy this year? Danielle does. I know she wants to come on up.
Oh, really? I know, it's such a surprise.
This is a surprise, but it's awesome.
I know. Well, like for anyone who's had conversations with me over the past, like probably 5.5 months, you already know what I'm going to say. But I'll back it up where Dan and I had a conversation with you years ago where I literally sat and I was like, is marriage like worth it? Like, I just saw so many marriages like fall apart and relationships fall apart. And it was just like so hard to watch. And coming to church was also becoming like kind of a struggle because I felt like I was the only like single girl my age. Like, we're a family church here and like there's not a lot of single people. So I mean, yeah, so anyway, so at the beginning of the year was a struggle, got out of a relationship, all that stuff, but then God is good in the parts that we least expected. I had a conversation with God at the end of June where I was like, the summer is yours. Like, I'm not looking, I'm not doing anything. The summer is yours. Just try to teach me how to be wise. Help me learn how to make good choices. And he did. And he brought someone into my life, and I'm getting married soon. So it's not like official, but like it's official. That's it.
Thank you, Danielle. I appreciate it and excited for you as well. And that's definitely a source of joy, I know. Anybody else? Anybody else want to take a shot at it? Again, awkward pauses. Let's go. Anybody else want to give glory to God for anything that he's done in your life this year where you found joy? All right. I'll let you off the hook. But if you raise your hand at any point, I'll let you come talk. Be like, you change your mind while I'm talking. You're like, you can come on up. Be like, all right, I have to say something. So God has been faithful in so many ways. I know there's so many more stories, and some people are just a little more self-conscious because, other people can hear you. But there's a passage in Matthew chapter 5 I'm going to read next, and this really is for us collectively as a church, corporately. Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 tells us who we are as a church. It says this, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father." Next week, we're going to talk more about our theme for the year and where we're going. But we believe in terms of just seasons, when you think about trees and seasons and all that, that we're coming out of a very long winter. Doesn't it feel like that? Like we've been in a winter of our lives. Like when you look at the trees in the winter, right? No leaves, right? There's not a whole lot of birds chirping. It's cold, it's gray. It's been like the most gray week, right? It's been like just kind of dull and dreary and like not snow, just sort of gray and dull. And winter gets long. Winter gets long, and it can look like all the trees are dead. Really, it's hard to tell the difference between a dead tree and a tree in winter because they look pretty close. Like you'd have to cut the tree open to know the difference. And I feel like God has said we've been in a long winter, but that we are coming into a spring. How many are happy for that? You're happy for that? You're ready for springtime. You're ready for some little buds to show, right? And I'm not just talking about, in our environment here. I'm talking about in our own lives, in our world, and that we're coming into a springtime. And it's important to know that because it helps us set expectation. Like I shouldn't be concerned if the trees in my yard don't have any leaves right now. I shouldn't be like, oh no, they're all dead. No, this is winter. They're supposed to look like that. If it was the middle of the summer, which happened to us once, we had a tree in August. All of a sudden, the leaves just fell off and it was empty. And I was like, that's not a good sign. And it turned out some bug or something had eaten and the tree was dead and we had to get it cut down. It's like, man, but that let me know. If that happened in the winter, I wouldn't have thought anything. But when you understand the seasons, then you know what to look for and how to set expectation accordingly. So as we emerge from discovering joy in the deep places in this winter, we believe that God's going to plant seeds of hope deep inside us, hope that the spring is coming back again. And that hope is crucial for us. It's necessary for us to keep going. Because if I know that, hey, listen, all these trees are not dead, that there's coming a time where there's going to be life on them again. There's going to be a return. There's going to be a warmth in the air again. There's going to be grass that grows again. There's going to be flowers that push up again. There's going to be new growth. It's coming. The spring is coming. That's hope. It's this confident expectation that it's coming. Hope reignites whatever may have grown dim during the winter. And I think a lot of us, perhaps our faith, maybe your faith's been shaken during this winter. There are times in the winters of our lives where our faith dulls just like the weather, where our faith dims and we're like, I don't know if I believe like I used to believe, and we go through these seasons of life. I shared this with our leadership, and I want to share it with you. Hebrews chapter 12 says this. It says, so take a new grip with your tired hands and strengthen your weak knees. Mark out a straight path for your feet so that those who are weak and lame will not fall but become strong. And if you listen to that text, I've probably shared this before. This is a big one for me. It says, take a new grip. That means, if you don't have it, right, you got to grab it again. If your hand came off, you have to reach out. If your hand is no longer on the thing, you have to reach out and reset your grip. Whether it's on a steering wheel, right? Whether it's on your life, a new grip on your health, on your diet, on whatever it is. Take a new grip on your mental health, on your well-being, on your job, on your endurance, whatever it is. You need to reach out and you need to take a new grip. It says, so take a new grip. But here's the interesting thing. It says, with your tired hands. At the end of a winter, you know what we don't get? We don't get new hands. We've got to regrip with those same tired hands. The hands that have gripped over and over and over again. The hands that have grown weary of doing that same thing, but yet I've got to grip with those same tired hands. And I got to stand back up on those same weak knees. I don't know, I mean, how your knees feel. After playing basketball, like Ryan was saying, there are days, man, the right knee outside here, there are times where I'm just like, if I run into somebody who I didn't see was there, it happens a lot to me. You know, I know you think I'm a big guy. I know it's just, but I'm actually not that big compared to the people we play basketball with. And there are times I run into them and it's like, that hurts. And he says, you know what? Get up on those same weak knees and take a new grip with those same tired hands. And here's what you need to do. You need to mark out a straight path. You know what that means? It means don't just walk anywhere. Don't just go wherever you feel like. Don't just wander. Don't just aimlessly go, I might try here, I might try that, I might do that. No, he says, mark out a straight path. Be intentional. Be on purpose. When you are tired and at the end of a long winter and when you are just spent, get back up, regrip. I think of a plow, right? Regrip that plow. Look ahead. Are you going to plow straight lines or are you just going to go wherever? You want to plow a straight line. Be intentional. What's going to help you walk forward? I can't say this loud enough. I say it every year. I'm going to keep saying it. The key to living a life of faith is not mountaintop experiences, and it's not extraordinary displays of holiness. It's not look at how majestic I can be in my holiness for God. It is found in the little day-to-day repeated habits of our lives. That's what it's talking about. When it says mark out a straight path, it's the repetition. We are what we repeatedly do. Listen for God every day. Make time. You want to mark out a straight path for your feet? Here's what you do. You'll make time every day to say, God, I'm going to listen. 5 minutes. If you make no time, make 5 minutes a day in silence to listen to God. Is it that too much to ask? The creator of the universe wants to speak to you. Are you too busy to answer the call? 5 minutes a day in absolute silence. You want some New Year's resolutions? Here's 3 of them. I'm going to give them to you. 1, 5 minutes a day in silence. We don't say this in church, so I'm not saying it, but just shut up. Turn the phone off. Turn the music off. If it's in your car, in your bedroom, if you have to lock yourself in a bathroom, whatever you got to do. 5 minutes a day, silence. Listen. Listen for the voice of God. You want to mark out a straight path for your feet? Listen for the voice of God. Second, you're going to read His Word. He's already told you so many things. Daily, get a reading plan. We've talked about, Danielle was talking about in the announcements. If you don't have a Bible, we'll give you one. On there's a Bible app. It's one of the most downloaded apps on the entire app store. It's by a company called YouVersion. It's a Bible app. It's free. It's easy to download. It's the Bible. So many translations on the Bible. And they have reading plans. Pick a plan. I just started a brand new plan. I've been doing the same plan for 16 or 17 years now. It's been a long time. I started a new plan this year. I'm going to read a new plan. It's just through the Bible in a year. It's just a different mix of verses. But I'm going to make time every day to read the Word of God. Mark out a straight path. This word, it says the Word of God is a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your path. You want to know how to mark out a straight path? Because you're tired and you're weary and you're coming out of a long winter and you're going to keep doing the same things we repeatedly do in the last year unless we mark out a straight path. Be intentional, and we do that by making time to listen and making time to get in the Word of God. The Word of God is like food to your soul. Everybody talks about diets, fasting, right? All these, I hate fasting. Sorry. I hate fasting. It's terrible. It's so hard for me to do. But here's the deal. If you didn't eat, how many of you have eaten too much maybe over the holidays? You think you ate a lot? You ate a lot? Okay. But if you didn't eat for a day, would you be hungry? If you didn't eat for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, okay, how long do you go in between reading the Word of God? Because if you count that as every day, as you are starving, you're starving your soul. Every day that we read the Word of God, we are eating our nourishment for the day. God, feed my soul. You're reading and feeding yourself the Word of God. You could listen to 1,000 sermons from me. It's not going to make a difference if you are not eating. You don't eat once a week for an hour. Right? So you shouldn't come to a church or tune into a service and just listen for 1 hour a week. You don't eat that way. Let's not respond to the spiritual soul. So again, listen, read, and pray. Just take time to talk to God. Okay, He listened to you. Now you can talk to Him. He gives you permission. He says, hey, tell me what you want. Let's pray. Talk to God. Pour it out there. Again, if you prayed, if God answered all your prayers today, how would the world be any different tomorrow? If God answered right now, if God answered every prayer you have prayed today, how would the world be any different tomorrow? You don't have because you don't ask. Let's be intentional. So that's how you mark out a straight path for your feet, because we're tired, we're weary, we're coming out of this winter. It says this, and listen, if you're not in a branches group, get in one. What are you waiting for? Let me just tell you about branches. We don't make money on them. We're not doing them because it benefits us in any way in terms of like any nefarious bottom line. I don't know. We do branches groups because we believe that they matter. Because life is better when we do it with other people. Like I've been in a group with Tony for like the whole year, and it's been awesome. I've learned so much from him, from the other people in our groups. Like it's been awesome to hear the other perspectives on God, on life, on what's going on in the world. And it's helped me. It's made me better in my faith because of being with other people in ways I couldn't do it alone. We make groups so accessible. They're like every night of the week. Some are in person. They're all on Zoom. You can jump in so many easy ways. But get in relationship with other people of faith because it helps us as we grow. Mark out a straight path. Get in a group. Listen, read, pray. There you go. That's your action steps. We'll announce new groups next week, so I expect everybody to sign up because there's no reason not to. If you have a good reason not to, email me. I'd love to hear it. Seriously, if you have a good reason not to be in a group, let me know. Well, I guess the challenge. You give me a good reason not to be in a group, I'll buy you a pizza. How's that? That's it. All right, there we go. Now, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to mark out a straight path for ourselves? Why do we have to do all this stuff? Because there are people who are weak and who are lame who are coming behind us. And we're not calling, listen, there are some lame people behind you, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about that kind of lame, right? We're talking about people who, because of all that this world has been, for some for years and decades and so many years of their life, they are weak and weary. And they are walking through this life without Jesus. They are trying to do it in their own strength. And you know what? They're weak and they're weary and they're falling down left and right. They are struggling all around us. And so when we are tired and weary, God says, hey, it's on you because I'm giving you strength. Get back up. Get a new grip. Mark out a path and you keep walking because the people that are following you need you to mark the way. They need you to prepare the way to go first. We learned all about this in the year of something new, right? About walking in wilderness, pathways through the wilderness. We are blazing a trail for those who follow. What we do matters. And we do this because of the same reason Jesus did it, right? It says, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. We're going to skip that passage, leave us. You don't have to worry about it. But he says, for Jesus, for the joy in front of us, his endurance is going to be worth it. You know, because it's easier to quit. Yep. Easier to quit. Every day, 365, 7 days a week, easier to quit. It's easier to say, faith is too hard. It's just too much. It asks too much of me. I quit. It's easier to do that. It's always easier to quit. But the joy is what keeps us going. So know that not only is it my joy, but the joy of knowing that others, they get to walk this road too. When we see others suffering all around us, it's heavy. But when we see those others begin to get in line and begin to discover the strength of Jesus, the goodness of God, the power that he brings, the peace, it doesn't mean he solves all their problems. No, life is full of that. He promises us we're going to have suffering. He promises us life is going to be hard. It's not that. But when Jesus comes in, we understand that he begins to change the game for us. He gives us joy that nothing can take away. And when we share that joy, oh man, the joy in your family, the joy in your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers and your classmates. We are a city set on a hill. Be the light. We can't quit now. In a moment, we're going to receive communion. And I'd like to read what I believe is a message for us right now as a church It's a lot of scripture, I know, but hopefully this is encouraging for you. And then we're going to sing I'm going to encourage you. Let these words sink into the deepest part of you. Ready? Here, just listen to these words, and then we're going to receive communion. It says, so the Lord sparked the enthusiasm of Zerubbabel. Isn't that a great name? Again, I'll give you a pizza if you name your kid that. Let's probably go for the dog, Zerubbabel. So the Lord sparked the enthusiasm of Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the enthusiasm of Jeshua, son of Jehozadak, and the high priest, and the enthusiasm of the entire remnant of God's people. They began to work on the house of their God, the Lord of heaven's armies. He's sparking the enthusiasm. Skip down to chapter 2, verse 3, and we read this. It says, does anyone remember this house, this temple? Again, we're not talking about a temple here. Now, think about this in relation to your own life, to your faith, to where you were maybe at your best with God, maybe what you thought of as the church when you were the strongest in terms of how you loved the church.
Be strong,
Zerubbabel. Be strong, Jeshua, son of Jehozadak, the high priest. Be strong, all you people still left in the land. Receive this. And now get to work, for I am with you, says the Lord of heaven's armies. My spirit remains among you, just as I promised when I came out of Egypt. Do not be afraid, for this is what the Lord of heaven's armies says. In just a little while, I will again shake the heavens and the earth, the oceans and the dry land. Remember, you're going to remember my name. You're going to see the power of my name. You're going to remember who I am. I'm going to shake it. You're going to remember this. I will shake all the nations, and the treasures of all the nations will be brought to this temple. I will fill this place with glory, says the Lord of heaven's armies. The silver is mine, the gold is mine, says the Lord of heaven's armies. The future glory, I love this, ready? The future glory of this temple will be greater than its past glory, says the Lord of heaven's armies. And in this place I will bring peace into your life. The future glory of what God is doing in you is greater than the past glory of what God has already done in you. You may look at yourself and go, I'm nothing compared to what I used to be. God says, hey, the future glory, your glory days are in front of you. The future glory is nothing. It will be greater than the past glory. And in this place I will bring peace. I, the Lord of heaven's armies, have spoken. Communion is a powerful way to declare that we remember what God has done and the hope for what He will do. So I invite you to take the cup, and I got mine here. Take the cup and that bread. And we're going to pray. We're going to take a minute and pray, and then we're going to sing. Here we go. Again, the bread represents the body of Christ. So I would invite you just to pray with me right now. It says this, it says, Lord, we pray, the story of faith is filled with sacrifice. You gave everything. Your position, your privilege, your rights, your power, your reputation, to display your love to a world that often rejects you. And today we stand with those throughout history who acknowledge your sacrifice. And we receive the love you have showed us, Lord. Today, as we share this, may we be filled with gratitude for what you have done in our lives, God, that how you have been faithful in our lives. The former glory, Lord, of what you've done in our lives, Lord, that you came and you did all those things. Lord, as we eat this, may we remember what you have done and be grateful. Lord, we thank you for 2021. We thank you for this year behind us. We thank you for what it represents. Your faithfulness, our Ebenezer, this far you have been with us. We thank you that you have never failed us. Let's eat together. I invite you to take the cup. And the cup represents his blood poured out for us. And let's pray again. This cup represents our forgiveness, Lord. Not only did you come to show us your love, but you came to show us that we're forgiven. You have paid our debts and you have taken on the punishment we deserved. Not only for our past, Lord, but so that we can have hope for our future. Your sacrifice gives us access to you forever. We are forgiven forever. As we drink this, fill us with hope for the life as well as for what is to come in eternity, God. We thank you for 2022. We look ahead, but not just for this year, but for eternity. Lord, the hope that you will continue to be with us. Lord, thus far you've been with us, but you will continue, Lord. You sealed it with your blood. It's a covenant. It's a promise. It cannot be broken. You will never fail us. And as we stand on the precipice of a new year, we recognize that you are just as present with us now in this moment as you have ever been. I thank you for the hope that you give us, both your promise and your hope. And we lean into that today. In your good name we pray. Let's drink.